Hi folks, I'm Fred Bernardo, the smoking guitar player.
I'm Mrs. Smoking Guitar Player, Dee Bernardo. Tonight we're
gonna eat some pasta, and to do that, we gotta have some sauce. What kind of sauce are we gonna have?
We are making Grandmom Carmella Giovanelli's tomato sauce with meat in it. It's fabulous.
What do we say next? Ready?
Yeah. Take it away!
Here we go!
Oh!
Okay, so we're gonna make some gravy, some Italian tomato sauce with meat in it. Now, if you're living over in New Jersey or New York, you're probably calling it gravy. We just call it sauce around here, where we come from. So let's show you some of the stuff we got. We got a big pile of pork. There's some spare ribs in there. It's a Boston butt cut up. There's a bunch of pork. And here we got our celery, carrots, and onions. Over here we got some beef bones with marrow in them. And over here we got some important ingredients. We got the tomato paste, a couple of cans. We got a can of 7-Eleven Stanislaus crushed tomatoes. We got some garlic here, packed in extra virgin olive oil. And we got the Mamma Lucia pre-made meatballs made in Millmont, Pennsylvania. That's right. Right near Shillington, Millmont, Pennsylvania. We got a large pot here. So we'll show you how we're going to make it. And don't forget, when you make this sauce, you're going to want some really good wine in there. So we got it right here. Look at that. Yellow Cab wine.
Red table wine.
That's right. Vino la Tavola. That's what that is. Red table wine. Let's get her started. We got the heat on there.
So
what do you got it on? High or medium or what?
I got a 12-quart stainless steel pot here. I got it on medium gas here. And gonna let that get a little warm on the bottom. And then I'm going to take, as they say on TV, just a little olive oil.
That's right, just a little itty-bitty, tiny little bit olive oil in there.
Which never works out the
commonly known as olive oil.
So, if you want to show this, Freddie B.
We already did.
Let me tell them what it is, though.
I did already.
These are pork ribs. And we've got some country pork chops also that I cut up here. And back here, we have some beef marrow bones. And these I found in the frozen section of my grocery store. So if you want to ask, and that reason we do that is to add some good flavor to the sauce. It's going to be cooking a couple hours, and all that good marrow in there is going to be cooked out of it. So we're just going to wait to heat this up, and we're going to start frying the meat.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay, I got olive oil in here.
We got our teeny tiny little bit of olive oil, which wasn't teeny tiny, it was a lot.
And it's starting to smoke. If you want that
really hot. Starting to smoke, so it's really hot.
Start putting this in. Don't want to crowd the pieces. Put them in and don't touch them. Just kind of let them. We're not cooking them when we put them in here. We're just going to be doing some browning.
We're going to brawn them, as they say in Lancaster County.
I mean, that's not an Italian dialect they're using.
Right. I don't know how to say brown. In Italian, I don't know how to say brown. I know how to say black.
Did you tell them why we're making this sauce?
Huh?
Did you tell them why we're making what time of the year it is?
Because it's Christmas time, and every Christmas we make the Smoking Guitar Player's nanny's, my grandmother's, ravioli. My cousin and I get together and make a couple hundred ravioli, and we have them on Christmas. So that's my nanny, my grandmother on my dad's side, made magical ravioli, and we make them every year. And then we have a meat sauce with them. Oh, and she's throwing in some kosher salt, a little itty bitty bit, which was a lot. What goes next, Ed?
We're just going to let that sit there for a little bit.
Okay,
we're
going to let them brown, and we're going to turn them around and brown them. Okay, so there's the big pile of browned meat, and we got the oil and all the stuff in, the really good stuff in there. I forget what they call that. The French have a word for that. Oh, well, anyway.
So we're not French anyway. Add a little bit more oil. And that meat doesn't have to be seared brown. You just want to get seared, you know, just to get a little bit of the juices sealed in there, because that meat is going to cook for a couple hours, but you're just getting it.
What's next?
So heat up a little bit more olive oil. Well, here goes the onion, carrots that we finally chopped.
Finely chopped, put it right in that there grease and oil.
And
flavorful. I forget what they call that.
I'm going to take garlic.
Some garlic. Always use fresh garlic. Never the stuff out of the little jar.
And make sure you always use a wooden spoon, because that's just the Italian way to do things. So this is just going to be a quick toss, because this is also going to get soft.
The frond, that's what they call it. Frond or fond or something. That's what them brown bits are called down there in the bottom, she's scraping off.
And that's getting scraped off because of the moisture from the carrots, the celery, the onions, and so forth. So it's just loosening up those bits, but we'll be using something a little bit later to get some more of those bits up. So all that nice olive oil and flavor from the meat is mixing in and melting with the vegetables here. So we're just going to let them have a quick cook on here, maybe about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll be back. Okay, this is starting to look pretty darn good.
It's been about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I want to let you folks know you don't have to do carrot, celery. Garlic is probably a good thing to do, but just remember the Italians, as most immigrants, were peasants and used whatever they had on hand to make their sauces and their stews and just their meals in general. So I had leftover carrots and celery, and that's why I elected to put that in there. Sometimes my grandma did it, sometimes she didn't. But it adds carrots add a nice sweetness, so of course more olive oil. I'm turning that up just a little bit. And now I'm doing, contadina tomato paste. Ever since I was a little girl, my grandmother always used that. I always took her spoon, dug it in there. A lot of you may be surprised to see that this tomato paste goes in here first. But it makes a very rich, thick, dark, luscious sauce. Let's see what we'll be going to be doing to make that happen. Let those bits in the can there because there'll be something we'll come back to them to do. So I used one big can, one little can. That's the best I can describe it.
Sometimes pasta.
Right. But since we're going to be having a big family here for ravioli, I want a big pot of sauce.
Now, I don't put tomato paste in my sauce.
Right. Red sauce and my sauce is totally different.
And I don't put meat in my sauce either because, I'm kind of a vegetarian. I've been thinking about
Honey, it's Christmas. You shouldn't be telling fibs.
I've been thinking about maybe next year.
Okay, so look how that's getting on the bottom there.
That's weird.
Yep, all the olive oil mixes in with the paste. And folks, this is going to cook maybe in between 10 and 20 minutes. And you're going to want to keep an eye on this because, of course, you're going to get stick in there on the bottom. But that should start cooking. It's almost like cooking the tomato paste first and getting away from a lot of the acidity that's in it and cooking that out. And then you'll see what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to keep an eye on that and we'll be back. Okay, you can almost just smell it.
How much later is it?
It's probably 10 minutes. And the smell of raw tomato is gone. So it's just really by smell. And that bright color is gone. It's getting more of a golden. So I'm going to do your own measurement of wine. That's probably a half a cup.
You're using the quanto basta method.
Quanto basta method.
As much as it needs.
As much as it needs to make it stop sticking in the bottom. Maybe another quarter cup there. Okay, we're going to let this cook just until the alcohol cooks up. Should just be a few minutes. We'll see you then. Since nothing goes wasted in Italian cooking, we filled up the paste cans with water. Get all the goopy, nice little stuff in there to get those bits. We're going to put that in to water this down. It's not really watering it down, it's just starting to make your sauce. And we may even fill those cans up again, but we're going to see what we got here. So we'll be back in a minute.
Looks like another can going in there.
Just use your eyeball and just to see the thickness and consistency, but it's going to get a little thicker, so you want to make it a little bit more runny because it'll cook down with the water coming out of it.
You might note that color is no longer that bright red. It's almost rusty looking. And that's oxidized from, browning on the bottom.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, this should be interesting. We've got this big can of, it says ground tomatoes, but you would normally see what's called crushed tomatoes in the supermarket.
Oh, man.
Would you hold that spoon up for me, honey? Just right there. Yep, put it down, put it down. That's a trick that my grandma taught me. Put it on a spoon and you won't get any splashes.
Okay, we'll put a little water in the can to get the rest of the bits of the tomatoes out. And now that's going in the mix.
Don't worry about it looking too runny or thin because this thing will thicken up after it cooks for a while.
When's that meat go back in?
That meat's going back in right now, honey. Let me just get this mixed up. Perfect.
Perfecto.
Okay. Clean hands, they're clean. In goes the meat.
Spare ribs, marrow bones, pork butt,
country ribs.
Country ribs.
Sometimes I do beef in there too. Don't forget these juices.
Put the juice in. Now, what are you going to do as far as cooking this stuff?
This is going to get pushed down in here, mixed around. We're going to put it, going to bring it to a boil first because you want to get it boiling, and then you want to turn it down to barely a simmer. And I would say good 2-3 hours maybe. This is a long cook sauce, at least 2 hours.
That's an awful long time to wait.
I know, but we'll probably sneak a little bit in about an hour to have some with some pasta. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Now, I must say, we haven't put any seasonings in here. Except for the fresh garlic in the beginning.
Right, and I'm going to wait a little bit.
Are we going to put any, like, oregano, or basil? Basil?
Because you're making this with meat, I'm going to wait a little bit to see what juices come out of the meat and the flavor after about an hour.
Okay. Are you going to put oregano in there?
No, honey, I might do a little oregano, though.
How about basil? I just want to say it a few more times.
I know you do, honey. So we're going to wait to do the seasoning, even with salt or anything, because the tomatoes can be salty and acidic. So we need to cook this a little bit first, before.
Are you going to put fresh ground pepper?
I did put it on the meat already, so it is in there already.
That's right.
I do have some basil.
Basil.
I do have some Italian seasoning here, and I have some parsley.
From the Tasty Licks company.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Let's stay on brand here, okay?
Okay. Doesn't that look ready to eat now,
I'll show you
folks?
what it's like when it's done.
It'll be luscious. See you then.
Okay. So, what do you got here in this pot? How long's that been on there?
That's been on about an hour and 20 minutes. Been stirring occasionally, mixing everything up real well. I did add some seasonings after about an hour. I tasted it. I did a little bit more salt.
Salt?
I did part ground dried parsley.
Parsley?
Basil.
Basil?
And of course we like crushed red pepper, so I put a little bit of that in.
And how about the oregano?
No.
No oregano.
No oregano.
But we do have basil.
We do have basil.
Yes. Okay, and normally you would let this cook another...
That's going to go probably another maybe 2 hours or so.
Right, and you can see the fatty buildup here.
Yes.
Flavor from the meat coming out of the meat.
My grandmom's sauce, and it always had a layer of either the olive oil or the fat from the meat on, and she used to drain a little bit off, but you mix it in.
And you can pour some olive oil over top of this too if it'll make it a little richer, correct?
Right, we'll do that when we have our pasta in the bowl.
Okay, and we're getting ready. We're making pasta there. So
we got the mafaldas in the...
We got mafaldas. Mafaldini, but we call them mafaldas.
Which, we used to eat a whole pound, remember that? Now it's a half a pound, so...
We half a pound for 2
down.
people. That means we only get a quarter pound each. Okay, so there you go. We'll show you what they look like. So folks, that's what it looks like in the bowl. Look at that.
We got our special cheese shaker here.
Here comes the cheese.
Little olive oil was on top of that.
We drizzled a little olive oil on there. We got our mafaldis and we got our grandma's, Dee Dee's grandma's meat sauce on there. So we're getting ready to enjoy. So say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Buon Natale. Oh, it is good. Even after only cooking